Good evening, Professor, and good evening, audience. In this project, I'm going to describe the code for my project, which is a 3D browser and the mail system and interface between the human language and the graphical database, because this is it's a very novel approach to describing data and displaying data. So I will begin right away, and I have a 10-minute deadline, so I will keep it right on track and show you everything right away. So here is my coding document. This is the implementation, and I will just go through it fast, and I will show the code that I executed. So the first is to set up a mail system, and it's relatively easy, to set up a Ubuntu mail server. So I'm using Ubuntu. So I go to bind db test, and so I bind this server to a DNS name, and I put in all these entries, and I do a DB test, and I put in the zone. And finally, I put in Google DNS 8.8.8.8, the forwarder, in the named options, configure options, and then I reload the bind program. So this I will show you very easily. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit, and I'm going to show these three. Yeah, so this is the first file. So I show this, and here is the IP address. And here I put a mail INS1 and a mail config option. Next, I go to the default zones. And here I have default zone for uMail1.dns.net and one for test.com. So we're using test.com right now because all the servers are local to this. And then finally, there's the last one. Config options. I go here, and here is the forwarder to Google's DNS. This is very well known, 8.8.8.8. It's a forwarder. So this is how I configure it. This is how it is. And now let's see it. And then I install postfix and all that. But let's see it in action. So how we'll do this, I created a user called Gabriel here. And so we're going to send an email to Gabriel. So, mail Gabriel at test.com from root. So here we go. Mail Gabriel test.com. CC, it's nobody. Server. Say, for example, we say that server 24. We just quickly end this. Yes, right. So we want to see where the email went. So it's very easy. We go here, and then we SU to Gabriel because I went to Gabriel's user. So just run this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to type. Which mail it's right. Okay, so which mail it's just type mail it's right here. And here I'm going to type mail. And see here, I have the latest email that's here. That server email 3 is down, so WordPress entered. Yes. See, and you just see the email that came. Server this is down, and it gives you the IP which I just put in. It has a lot of extra information to this, and gives you the message ID, a long string, and from, so with enter. There was something that's all that's there in the mailbox. I'm going to get out of this. And so that's the first part. And the second part is using a graphical database. So I've chosen the DB called Neo4j. Yes, this is all the exact description of the mail that I just demonstrated. It's right here in the code, screenshots as well. And now I'm going to display the graphical database. So let's just go here, because from now on everything is very new, So this is how I start the graphical database, and I'll show you this. I just PS-CF grep Neo4 Neo4j. And we see the Neo4j DB that's up. It's version 3.1.0. It's quite old actually, and it's heavily Java implemented. It's a heavy Java implementation, so you have to have Java, the right Java version. Even if you have it too new or too updated, it will fail. So it's extremely Java dependent. And how and yeah. So let's go here. Let's delve a little bit more into this extraordinary database. So yeah. I've already executed some code, but I'll show you here. So what happened? So here I have my own code called cow star. I call this the cow because it ingests a lot of data and it ruminates data as well. So here it is. This is how you start it, and you start like this, and then we enter the code like this to launch a shell called the Cypher shell. So that's the code. That's the shell we use to get it to Neo4j. So now I'm going to so I'm going to execute this code. So I'm going to say Cypher shell requires this, and here I put in the password. Perfect. Well, let's see if we have any other queries. Yes. So here I already have some queries ready. So I'm going to execute this, and you'll see the code was how to display graphical nodes with a relationship called is-a. So all the nodes with is-a will come out here, and it's only pulling out 5. But what if I want a different one? What if I want a different relationship? So is there's no is-a subtype. Let's check it now. Has. Let's say we have a relationship code has. So let's just do everything. Let's see what let's just put everything there. So it's very, very particular. By this you can see how particular the syntax and all should be. It's extremely very difficult to even display small things, but when it comes to complex queries, that's when the power will show up. Let's just increase to 15. Or let me just show you everything I have. No listing of limits. Okay, so this is one aspect. If let it take its time, it's going to, see. If you see how much data there is, there's just so much data, and CSATs, and this is from Princeton University, NLTK, and has rack DNS, all these different nodes and weights have come in, so this is a very complex database and data set, And so to make things simpler, to have an easier way to interact, I wrote a program, an interface called the cow, which helps us to interface very easily with this. So all I go here is I do tc.py, and this is my little program. So if you want to see everything about, let's say, Bible, so what is Bible? We have this, and then it displays the actual relationship. Bible is a book, which is a verb, which is a noun, but this is for the sake of the relationships. But humanly, all we want to know is this. Bible is a book, which is a verb, which is a noun, which is some type of word. So everything ultimately becomes a word, because this is just information. So even if it's a noun, pronoun, verb, it ultimately becomes a word. Now, let us see what is Porsche. It's a car, and yes, see, it's a car, subtype for automobile, which is a noun, which is a word. So this is a car, automobile, which is a noun, which is a word. Now we know this already. We know that we probably think of car up to here, but we don't think of it as a noun, and we don't think of it as a word. But for the graphical database, you have to be very elaborate in describing everything, So that's one of the beautiful things of this. And the interface also allows you to easily write to it, So Porsche's attribute horsepower value this, Now, let's say I want to, yeah, let, due to lack of time, I will not be showing too much of this, but this is a very easy interface for us to describe. And yeah, so I'm just going to exit out. Now, what I want to do is I want to display all this information. Now, you may think, oh, let's display it in a tabular column, but it's not. There's no more tables and there's no more columns here. It's nodes and edges, so it's very difficult to describe it. So the best way to do is to describe this um, graphically in a 3D way. So I have already some programs that are here, and I modified this. So this is one of the foundation principles of programming. So the moment I I execute this, the program is already here, and I will open the code, and this is how it describes all the nodes and edges and gives color. But if you want the actual full form, look at this. And the moment I click yes, reload, see, this is the database. See how it explodes? It's like the Big Bang. Probably this is what the Big Bang is. It's all nodes and edges that are exploding into our universe that we see. And we have all these. And here on the right side, I want to show that how the developer code, how it pulled out. So it pulled out 5,000 links in these milliseconds. So that's how it actually displayed. And if there's any error, it will display here. So I have this open just to show you that it wasn't easy to code this. It was very complex. Now I'm going to go into this 3D. It's called 3JS. 3JS. It's a part of WebGL, and WebGL is the foundation for all gaming. So if I go here, yes, I'm going to go into Neo4j4's 3D graphs, and I go to ls-l. So these are all the code that I've modified to fit our environment. So if we look at, I've already kept it ready here. So if we look at this, and we say index.html, yeah, this is the code that also is bringing out all this, but this is very raw. See, if I go near, I can't see anything. And then you have an even better coding that comes out here, and and I push it out, and see, this is how it displays it. See, now it displays the nodes and edges. Yeah, character, yes. So this displays the nodes and edges more fully. But the thing is, I can't zoom in, and also the experience is minimal. Now I try one more, and this is a more elaborate. See, uMail. This is showing the nodes in the size of planets, all the way from one. This continues. You will see different sizes of nodes and edges. It's a beautiful universe that's here. And finally, our ultimate goal is to put it in a 3GL way, if we can, and to put the nodes in elaborate boxes so we can open up the boxes and see data. If that would be the ultimate programming, and you can change your focal depth, you can change your focal stop, focal length. Yeah, you can zoom in, zoom out, as if you're looking at through a binocular in the universe. But the universe is your data. Finally, I want to show something very extraordinary about the code. So if I go here, if I do the if you look at this code, it's connecting to the DB. It's executing the code, and then it's putting it in elaborate arrays. So it puts it in an array called source, array called target, array called relations, and then it puts it all into a huge array called nodes. And this nodes it throws into this object here called force graph 3D, and then it puts the targets and the links into this, and that displays it. So this is very complex. So I want to say that from this part of code to this part, it's another world. These are two different worlds. So this world we are a little familiar because we know it's nodes and edges. But the moment it comes here, we have to understand this graphical, coding and graph and this G data, how it pushes the links and all. Some of it is automated. The coloring is automated, but many other things we'll have to define. So this is a very new world, and also this driver. This is the original driver. I had to update this. Otherwise, we're getting a bolt 0 error. And also, there is no more HTTP. You see, it's bolt. So it's all nodes, and it is extraordinarily different and quite difficult, actually. So I'll have to definitely advance my knowledge of this, but this is a very good foundation because we have three very unique topics that we're describing. For one, we have the mail system, but the first novel thing is Neo4j database. Using second one is the cow. So, and yes, and the third one is the graph. So first one is the Neo4j, and the second one is the interface, and the third one is our graphical system. So this graphical system. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and thank you, Professor, for giving us the opportunity.